everybody, welcome back. Today's video is on a case from 2009 and it is one that got quite a bit of attention at first, but there hasn't been much said about it in years and no new leads have come in a very long time. Little Adji Desir lived in Immokalee, Florida with his mother Marie Neda and his stepfather Antal Alant. His family had come to the United States from Haiti, and his mother worked in an assisted living home while his stepfather was a dishwasher. Adji was 6 years old, but he was developmentally disabled and functioned at the level of a 2-year-old. He was nonverbal, but he understood Haitian Creole and a few words in English, but he couldn't speak either. He knew his name, but again, he couldn't say it. He communicated by nodding his head yes or shaking his head no. His stepfather, Antal, describes Adji as a good boy who plays well with other children and knew everybody within their small community. Adji's grandma, Jessla Thibault, watched him while his mother worked quite often. Adji liked going to her house because, of course, he loved his grandmother, but also because there were lots of other kids to play with there. Grandma lived in the farm workers village in Immokalee, which is a community of about 350 migrant farm workers. The village is about 30 miles inland and consists of workers speaking mostly Spanish, Haitian Creole, and English. Her home was in a little cul-de-sac backed by lots of trees and marshland and canals and a lot of swampy land. Everyone in this community knew each other for the most part, and everyone kind of kept an eye out on the kids, so the children would often play outside alone, even sometimes after dark. There was only one way in and one way out of the village. There had never been any problems before, and it was considered to be pretty safe. On January the 10th, 2009, Adji was spending the day at Grandma Jessla's home while his mother was at work, and he had been playing outside in the front yard with some other kids from the neighborhood for the majority of the day, which is, like I said, something he loved and had done on numerous occasions. He did come in for dinner, but then went right back out to play. Grandma was checking on him through the window every so often, and at one point around 5:15 p.m., she looked outside and she didn't see him. He was no longer in the spot he had been about 15 minutes earlier, so she went outside to get a better look and find out where he had run off to, hoping he was just out of her vantage point from the window. She saw the other children still playing, but she couldn't find Adji. Around this time, the stepfather arrived back at the house and he and Grandma began frantically looking for this little boy. They searched for a couple hours before notifying police. They had neighbors helping to look. I think they really thought that he had to be there somewhere and that he had just wandered farther than he ever had. There was a park nearby. Maybe they thought he had walked over there to play. The children he'd been playing with were questioned, but they didn't see anything. They didn't notice any strangers, no strange cars in the area. They just kind of said he was there one minute and then walked off, and they didn't know where he had gone. His grandma finally called police around 7 p.m. and they showed up immediately. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you are aware that there are some missing person cases where the cops don't take it seriously and don't put in much effort. This is not one of those situations, thank goodness. The Collier County Sheriff's Office did an amazing job, in my opinion, of trying to find Adji. They went all in, doing their very best and doing everything they could to find this little boy and return him to his family. And they began searching that night. They didn't wait. They didn't hesitate. They began searching the entire neighborhood. They knocked on doors. They questioned neighbors, yet no one claimed to have seen Adji. Now, he was terrified of strangers and was known to hide if he was scared, so they were checking garbage cans and any place a small child could maybe squeeze into to hide. The place was swarming with police and volunteers searching and calling for Adji, but since he was so scared of people he didn't know, they were worried he wouldn't come if called unless he knew who the person was. So they had his grandmother speaking on a PA system telling him it was okay and to come back, but he still didn't appear. Adji's mother arrived home from work that night around midnight to find her family members in complete distress. They were crying, they were frantic. She had no idea what was going on because she had been at work all day, and I guess they hadn't let her know about Adji going missing. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they didn't have a way to contact her at her workplace, or maybe they didn't want to worry her. I don't know, but I cannot imagine what that would be like. The horror of coming home and finding out your child has been missing for 7 hours and no one can find him. 150 police officers and FBI searched the area diligently for over a week. They conducted a grid line search. They went over a 12-mile radius on horses and ATVs. They searched the canals. They had boats and sonar. Divers were searching the nearby Lake Trafford. They had helicopters doing aerial searches, and volunteers were handing out flyers written in Spanish, English, and Haitian Creole. Police spoke to every single resident on the farm workers' village. The North Naples Fire Control and Rescue combed through all the garbage collected from the village that week. 20 truckloads of trash that had been taken to the Immokalee landfill, but they found no sign of Adji. No clothes, no shoes, no little boy. They even had an interactive map online where anyone could sign in with the username and password they posted and pinpoint on a map where you thought might be a good place to search, and you could add a little description of the area. Investigators searched the homes of 16 different sex offenders in the area in case one of them had abducted Adji, but no evidence was found that showed any of them were connected. Adji's biological father still lived in Haiti. This was checked out also. They thought that it could be a possibility that his father had come to the United States to kidnap his son and maybe take him back to Haiti. They looked into this. They even had agents staking out his home over in Haiti, watching to see if Adji was there, but he wasn't, and the father was cleared. Flyers were sent to local schools and handed out on the bus for kids to take home. Flyers were also posted all over Haiti, just in case he had somehow been taken there. They wanted everyone everywhere to see his face. There are other Haitian communities in Southwest and South Florida, and these were checked as well. Adji's mother, stepfather, and grandmother did speak to media outlets through an interpreter to help get his story out there and to try to get as much help as they could in finding their son. Now, 2 of the little girls that he had been playing with that day he disappeared later changed what they had previously said, and they claimed that they last saw Adji walking away from the other kids down the road toward a bridge over the canal, and that they didn't see him after that. Another child said that Adji got mad because nobody would let him ride a bike and that he said he was going home. Now, since Adji couldn't speak, we know he didn't say this out loud, but I don't think this child was trying to lie necessarily. I think maybe they could tell he was mad about not getting to ride, and that's what they meant, that they could tell he was mad. Adji's family, his mother, stepfather, and grandma were cleared of any involvement. If you see any of their interviews with the media, you can see the anguish on their faces. They just look completely broken. I know people can put on a show, but I don't believe they had anything to do with it. They love him so much, and I really don't think you can fake the amount of pain that they were feeling. Adji's case did receive some national coverage. His case was featured on America's Most Wanted, and he was on the cover of People magazine's Vanished Without a Trace Heartbreak and Hope issue almost a year after he went missing. His photo was also shown on national direct mail advertising flyers distributed to around 75 million houses across the United States. Gail St. John, who is a psychic investigator, showed up as well to help. She stayed in Immokalee for 3 days and said she believed Adji was still in the area, but she couldn't pick up any other information. It has been almost 12 years and Adji has never been found. What happened to him? How could he have seemingly just vanished? One theory is that he was abducted. The farm workers' village is nestled between two main backroad highways. These highways are used mostly by truckers transporting produce, but people going to the nearby casinos use them too. Could someone have grabbed him without being noticed by the other children and hit the highway to get out of there? Could someone within the community have been watching and waiting for an opportune time when Adji was wandering alone? And if so, how did they hide him so well? Because he wasn't gone long before people started searching. The family and neighbors were looking for him right away, even before police arrived. One thing I could not find was if dogs picked up on his scent anywhere. I know tracking dogs were brought in, but I could not find any info on what or where they hit. So I'm not sure if they ever got a hit on his scent anywhere. If he was abducted, did the person intend to harm him, or did they just want him for their own? How did they get away without anyone seeing anything? No eyewitnesses to a strange car or a person that didn't belong in the area. He was developmentally delayed, so he couldn't say anything and wouldn't have been able to tell anyone that he was in trouble. He couldn't yell, "Hey, this person isn't my parent." He couldn't even tell anyone his name. Police do believe that someone in the community knows what happened to Adji, but that person may be too afraid to talk to authorities. Another theory that I think a lot of people believe is that he wandered off on his own and succumbed to the elements or a wild animal. There are alligators, panthers, and wild boar in that area. And if not an animal, there are a lot of swamps to fall into. The little girls claimed he was walking toward the canal. Is it possible he slipped on the bridge and fell in? We don't know, and they haven't found a shred of evidence to prove either theory. I personally hope he's out there alive and well. He may be living with another family, and sadly, since he was so young and challenged, not remember that he was kidnapped, or maybe he does remember but can't voice it. At the time of his disappearance, Adji was 3 feet tall, 45 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a blue t-shirt with thin yellow stripes, blue shorts with pink flamingos down the sides, and two-tone blue sneakers. Adji's mother and stepfather did later have another child, a little girl they named Adjiani after her big brother. They have never forgotten or stopped searching for Adji. The grandmother no longer lives in the home in the farm workers' village. She now lives with Adji's parents. If you have any information on Adji's whereabouts or what happened to him that day, please call the Collier County Sheriff's Office at 239-252-9300. Or if you wish to remain anonymous, you may call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-8477. Even if you think what you know is insignificant, call it in anyway. The smallest detail could lead to huge information and answers for the family. Please share Adji's flyer. It is linked down in the description box. Share this video if you think it will help, and don't let Adji be forgotten. He would be 18 years old now. The family has gone a very, very long time with no answers. Thank you all so much for being here and listening to Adji's story. I post videos just like this on the lesser known missing person cases every Wednesday. The entire playlist is on the screen right now. I highly suggest you check it out. As always, I mean no harm in these videos. I am simply trying to spread awareness, and if you would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. See you next week, guys. Bye.